Guys, I play music, I listen to music, I study music, I teach music to get away from the world, to express myself, to be creative, to enjoy life, to get away from bombs and wars and rumors of wars and all the things. I don't go looking for bad news anymore. But in my YouTube feed yesterday, 2 videos caught my attention. They popped up in my feed. And one of them was, why don't kids start rock bands anymore? And it was a really good commentary on how things have changed over the years and how the way we listen to music, the way we're exposed to music, how we feel about it, the attachment we have to it. It kind of goes back into history and talks about how, like, the Beatles met in school or on the bus going to school or going to different schools, but they were in the same town. The Stones, Jagger and Richards met at school. And then it goes all the way to like the Chili Peppers and Green Day and how they started bands in school. Well, you know, if you're around kids these days, if you have kids, you know that so much has changed. They're not even that interested in getting their driver's license anymore. You know, a lot of the things that we just held so sacred, they just don't care, man. And so the way, according to this video, you know, that kids are exposed to music is mainly through video games and social media, and they're kind of casual observers, you know, and that's a broad brush. That's not every kid. There's still young guitar players, you know, students and musicians, but it's not like it was. You know, there was a rash after the Beatles, after the British invasion. Drum shops and guitar shops, they couldn't keep, that was the whole garage band explosion. They couldn't keep that stuff in stock because everybody wanted to start a band after the Beatles, right? You know, those days are long gone. It kind of happened again with Nirvana. You know, I was a product of that. But anyway, so kids are listening to music or caring about music in a totally kind of nonchalant way compared to when I was coming up. And then my parents' age, you know, before. And then the next video I found was Rick Beato, who I love, was trying to dissect this song from this band called Velvet Sundown. And the question was, is this an AI-generated band song? And news reports had started to come out, and the buzz was starting to happen about this band and this song. Little background, Velvet, I keep wanting to say Velvet Underground, that's a real band. Velvet Sundown has put out 2 albums in as many months, and in 2 weeks they have a 3rd album about to drop, never been heard of before, and they have this huge following on Spotify. So the question was, and if you look at just the press that's written on them from their own Spotify account, the photos, you can tell the photos are AI generated, and the description of the band or the album or whatever it sounds like something ChatGPT would put together. And so Rick's thing was he was going to play the song, and he threw it up into Logic to separate the tracks because AI generated stuff doesn't separate that well. And so he kind of left it open-ended, and this was a couple of days ago, but it was his opinion that he thought this was AI-generated, the song. Well, since then, the verdict has kind of come in, and the consensus is this whole thing is AI fabricated. The whole thing, from soup to nuts, man. Like, and there's even question on the Spotify followers if they're real people, okay? Of course, this is causing an uproar. And what does this mean for the music industry? You know, we've all seen it coming. We knew it was coming. It was brought to my attention when the whole Drake cloning AI thing, and I was like, man, if they can clone people's voices, you know, sound like Drake with the push of a button, I knew then, man, we're in for a ride, right? I'm not going to talk too much about the industry and what this means, as much as we're gonna dissect. They have a song, and this does sound like a bad ChatGPT prompt. Their hit song is Dust on the Wind. not Dust in the Wind. It sounds like a bad ChatGPT prompt of trying to get a song to sound like a 1970s band, Dust in the Wind by Kansas. But when you listen to it, it's good, man. It sounds like 70s Americana, Southern rock kind of. I have not listened to anything else other than this one song, Dust on the Wind. There's supposedly a psychedelic type 70s sounding band, but this one is more like, sounds like The Band maybe, mixed with the Allman Brothers, maybe Graham Parsons, Flying Burrito Brothers. You know, it's kind of got a really rustic sound. The vocals, I'm trying to figure out who that lead singer sounds like, but it's got a really great tone, really great voice, but it's just very Southern sounding to me. And it's a catchy song. But of course, if you're gonna AI generate a catchy song, you're going to throw the whole bag of tricks in there. We do it as songwriters, you know. We build on how we play guitar, and if there's certain things that work, you know, we go back to the well and do it over because it works. Sounds great, you know. I want to dissect this Dust on the Wind and just the opening riff, and that's what I played at the beginning of this video. I want to dissect that, and then I'm going to have some commentary more on what this means for the music industry, for us as listeners, as guitar players, and should we even bother if computers are just going to generate the music? Guys, I'm going to show you this from your point of view. Guys, I'm just going to run through this riff real quick, or this opening part of this song, and if there's anything, that can come out of this AI thing, they're only going to prompt it with the stuff that works, and they just threw the whole bag of tricks in with this little Americana sounding opening. And I'm just going to run through a few things just to show you. And, I can't believe I'm saying this, but, you can use this in your own playing, because even though it was AI, it was fed by real players, real music at some point, right? So these are tried and true things that have worked over the years. But the first thing with that, it starts out in a minor. It's capoed on the 5th fret. And this is Dust on the Wind, by the way. It's the only one I've listened to off this band. But they're playing an E minor, and they're strumming from the 1st string up to give it that epic opening, right? Okay, well, there's a walk up from your minor to your major. So an E minor up to the G. Right, that's commonly used. It's a bag of tricks I use, And then there's this lick. Okay, so it does this little. It's just playing around that G. And it almost goes to an A minor, but it's like an A sus2. Sounds really cool. And then it does the walk. So if you're looking at the A minor, which would work in that scenario too, again, doing the walk up from the minor to the major, goes up to that C, right? So, wait, let me do that over. Okay, so then it does an arpeggio, right? And it slides, and that is a common thing. I haven't taught this yet in any of my YouTube, but you can slide that C up to make a D. I don't know the exact name of it, but really pretty. That's what they're doing there. So they're throwing that other bag of tricks too, where it's that walk up. It's part of that D, that open C shape slid up. And then the little lick. That's just some pull-offs to go back to that E minor. Anyway, like, yeah, if you're gonna prompt ChatGPT or your AI to play the most common Americana kind of, there you go. There's all the bag of tricks right there. From strumming the chord upside down to your walk-ups to your little licks. Now let's throw another walk-up, and let's play that cool sounding D. Oh yeah, let's just throw a little. I mean, it was prompted well, man. What can I say? So anyway, guys, maybe you can learn some of these licks and add it to your playing, because again, it doesn't discount the fact that these are good licks. The song sounds really good. I mean, the lead singer, the vocals, I love his tone. It's so crazy, man. This is just a brave new world, guys. So what does this mean for the music industry and for us as musicians? A lot of people are saying that this is the death blow, where the first punch was thrown by Napster and the streaming services. This is the death punch here. Like, this is, if you couple that with the other video that I mentioned of why kids are not starting rock and roll bands anymore, do they care? Do they care if the 2 minutes, 3 minutes that they're listening to in their playlist, do they care if it was generated by AI or a person? They're just there for the song in that moment, right? And that's not to throw just kids under the bus. That's probably going to be the majority of people, man. The music consuming public, it's background music, The people who really care about this are the people who make it, as well they should. It doesn't look good for the music industry. There's been conspiracy theories that have popped up over this whole Velvet Sundown thing, that Spotify did this. This is all a Spotify creation just to gin up views and listens on this one band that they don't have to pay, right? Anything. I was part of a group of Nashville Songwriters Association International, along with ASCAP and BMI, that was leading the lawsuit. I wasn't part of the lawsuit, but I was supporting NSAI. I was a member. Back when the Spotify thing, the lawsuits were happening, which are probably still happening because they don't pay the songwriters and the artists enough. It's pennies on the dollar. The music industry screwing over artists is nothing new. Go back to the blues era and look at how many of those guys got hosed, man. And I applaud the people who are fighting it, and it should be fought. But I think the genie's out of the bottle, man. I mean, if you couple the fact that we just don't listen to music the same way, we don't appreciate it the same as we used to, we don't care where it came from, just give it to me. Instant access, that's all I care about. You couple that with AI generated bands, songs, music. Yeah, it's a recipe for disaster for the independent artist. It really is. But as creatives, as musicians, there might be a glimmer of hope in this, because the pendulum always swings. It'll go too far and then it'll come back. The human factor will not fail to be a factor at some point. With everything being so, you're seeing it now. AI is used so much in social media and on all the things, and everything is homogenized. It looks the same. Obviously, the technology is going to get better. It's going to become more lifelike. You may not be able to throw an AI song into Logic in the future and figure out if it's real or not, And you're constantly guessing, and that's going to be a bigger question with AI at large anyway. What is real, what isn't, right? And that's another topic for another day, and that's more of the bad news that I don't really want to talk about. But I do think at some point, there's no glory in I'm a good prompter and I made this great song because I knew what prompts to put in, or what I kind of felt this way with beats and electronic, and I'm not bashing anybody who does that, to each his own. But if the power goes out, the grid goes down, and as long as I have this box of wood with strings on it, I can create, I can make music. I don't need technology in order to create. And I think there's value in that. At least it is within myself. I'm glad that I know how to play the guitar. I'm glad I learned how to play guitar. Because when the stuff hits the fan and all this stuff is so, I want to be able to stand out. I want to be able to write good American Southern music because I'm American and Southern and I can do it. And that was years and years of practice and honing my craft. There's still glory in that, even if it's just with yourself, right? But I think the pendulum will swing because there is no glory in that, So I hope, guys, that this is a cautionary tale, but also I hope it gives you hope. Learn the guitar, learn an instrument, learn drums, because you might be a good AI prompter and you can't play music, but to quote Matthew McConaughey in that classic Dazed and Confused, it'd be a lot cooler if you did.